When a new silent predator appears with an aggressive attitude, the target itself yells louder than its explosion. On August 17, 2025, the skies over Ukraine lit up with sparks, a large explosion, and thick smokes. Something new just surprised them with silence, which wasn't seen before. The Su-57 Felon, Russia's core of fighter jets, has conducted a precision strike on the Ukrainian military base in Kyiv after a long time. The strike was notable, frightening, and unforgettable. It wasn't just another air camping, but the debut of a new silent predator, which can entirely wipe out any military footholds with no signal, with no exposure, but with a calculated strike. The Su-57 fighter is the most ambitious project of the Russian Air Force, and was seen as very rare in combat missions since the start of the Ukraine war. But this unprecedented debut not only marks a new offensive, but also an earlier sign that, if these fighters are constantly involved in coordinated airstrikes, the future of the war can't be predictable, where it will approach. On August 17's strike wasn't as speculative as the fighter involved in the mission. The fighters, not just like traditional, have been the critical point of the military observers. The Su-57, a Russian fifth-generation fighter, often criticized by the Western medias as not stealthy as the American fighters, and it doesn't contain good manufacturing quality, with the vulnerability to be detected on traditional radars. But recently, the Su-57 just started answering the Western media with sharp blow, bleeding strike, at not just Ukrainian equipment, but mostly at Western-supplied weapons, ammunition depot, and high-tech equipment. Since the start of the Ukraine war, Russia has been exerting its fourth-generation fighters and long-range strategic bombers to conduct precision strike deep into Ukrainian territory and military hardware. The Su-57 wasn't reported to have participated in direct combat missions extensively, but in the mid-2024, multiple reports linked to the Ukrainian military observers confirmed an increased participation of the Su-57. At the end of the year, Russia lessened the exertion of the Su-57 in combat missions due to limited numbers and high-tech concern. The most recently, Russia's Ministry of Defense announced that the Su-57 has been equipped with a devastating weapon known as Zircon hypersonic missile that can alter the entire face of the war with unstoppable and calculated strike from energy infrastructure to deepest military hubs. Just days after the announcement, a massive strike at the Ukrainian military base in Kyiv has been observed, with multiple reports of comprehensive damage and obliteration. This strike points a finger to NATO's claim that nothing belonging to them will be speared with the silent predator like the Su-57. The Su-57, known as Felon by NATO reporting name, has been the lead fighter of the Russian airspace forces. It doesn't just address unique technology, but a capability to remain invisible on enemy air defense radars. Built with radar-absorbent composite materials, the Su-57 is now described as a fighter which can strike harder getting through undetected, and even if detected, it can fool the air defense missiles with incredible maneuvers and advanced electronic warfare. For the air operation in Ukraine, the Su-57 is now playing a major comeback, from air defense suppression to deep precision strike. Ukrainian military observers now report whole formations of these so-called fifth-generation fighters in action, moving beyond the occasional single-jet cameo. According to their aerial assault strategy, one Su-57 hangs back, loiters around and provides cover with long-range R-77M air-to-air missiles, while a pair of the Su-57 move in to drop Kh-69 cruise missiles or precision-guided bombs. In other words, they're trying to act like a modern strike package. The goal appears to be refining loadouts and testing new tactics against well-defended Ukrainian targets. Intensified Su-57 operations have reportedly allowed a new class of air-to-surface missiles to be tested under combat conditions, which some sources have indicated may be a hybrid between a drone and a cruise missile. Ukrainian sources have informally dubbed it the Kh-71K, with the missile reported to be particularly difficult to detect by radar and to be capable of making sharp, evasive maneuvers. For air-to-air combat, the Su-57s are using R-37M, one of the longest range and the fastest air-to-air missile in the world, with the capability to reach over Mach 6. Prior operations by the Su-57 against Ukrainian targets have included air defense suppression, air-to-air combat, and operations in heavily defended enemy airspace, as well as a range of precision strike missions using both internally and externally deployed missiles. No other fifth-generation fighter class in the world is known to have had similar levels of combat testing over a prolonged period. The picture clearly proves the Su-57 using a R-77M air-to-air missile externally that no other stealth fighter did the similar thing before. This means Western propaganda against the Su-57 has no point of impact. A stealth fighter designed to penetrate enemy defense line with carrying armaments internally to remain undetected and strike deep into military hubs. But the Su-57 showed something astonishing. Regardless of the contested airspace, it conducted numerous strikes carrying armaments externally without getting detected on enemy radars. The recent intensified strikes by the Su-57 against Ukrainian critical targets imply another tactic of warfare, where modern air defense systems are no longer a threat to Su-57s. The August 17th strike authenticates the same as before, where despite being well-defended military base, a fleet of the Su-57 managed to get in and obliterated everything. For Ukraine, it is another emerging threat that can't be dealt with Western air defense system before it strikes them. For Russia, it's just a strategic shift on executing precision strike, penetrating enemy well-defended environment with silence. For NATO, the Su-57 is now a hardened threat. The recent incidents in Ukraine have sparked concern over NATO's defensive strategy. Whether their defense system is appropriate against Russian stealth threat, or is it still as vulnerable as Ukraine? The time will tell us everything. Until now, that's all for today. Thanks for watching.